morning. We're live in Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Uyi Agbomofwegbe, and as always, it takes two to tangle. They say the tangler is on the show this morning. I hope that word is a standard English term.
Are you kidding?
Jumain Manson, it is good to tangle with your prayer
I'm
this
the
morning.
tangler now, Uyi. Very good.
Well, it's a coinage, new word.
Good morning, Uyi.
Hope you had a good weekend.
I did. I tried to, but I did all the same. And good morning to each and every one of you out there. It's great to be here.
Of course.
On a Monday, surprisingly, on a Monday, I am here.
Yeah, that was you bringing a surprise on us.
Yes, exactly. I'm just sitting in for Priscilla. She's unavoidably absent, but it's fine. I'm just here sitting in for her. Okay, so.
And you're sitting right, quite frankly, you are. Just to let you know that you see Priscilla in the course of the week, all else equal.
Exactly.
But Juma is here to do an amazing work in her absence this morning. As always on the program today, we'll take a look at some of the big stories from last week, the events, and of course, all the fallouts from those events. I mean, it was big over this weekend. Yesterday, in particular,
Yes.
it was back-to-back Durbar, one in Kano first off.
Yes, of course.
The second in Bauchi, and Global Television was live on the ground to cover all of those events. The only thing that I find quite exciting about out of Kano was that for whatever reason, there was no horse riding. For me, that's the fun part.
That's the highlight when you see the horse riding and you see all the big wigs when it comes to the prince and all of that on the horse. It's amazing. It's
the colorful array.
It's so colorful to watch. I have seen that. I have been friends with a couple of you, and I see how they do it, and they tell you okay, and all of that. It's very beautiful.
Right.
It's a very beautiful thing to watch. Really.
Hopefully we get the horses back into the festivity as quickly as possible. But all the same, was quite a colorful event in Kano, in Bauchi, and we understand in a few other parts of northern Nigeria yesterday and this past weekend. Of course, it's the week after Salah, and we hope those who took out time to lean back a little, relax last week, will return to work fresh. Today, the holidays are over, but then something that is ongoing still is the hike in the price of fuel. I heard a motorist this morning jokingly telling a few persons that, look, today we will know whether the price of fuel per litre will hit 2,000. And then one lady said, well, even if it hits 2,000, it doesn't matter. We can pay 5,000 for a ride. Everyone just trying to crack themselves up. But it's not a funny situation, right?
No, it's not. I actually bought fuel yesterday, 1,370 naira.
70.
Yes, I did. And I looked at my tank, the amount I bought.
They move a pin.
I didn't believe it. Then it really actually dawned on me that this is real.
We're here now.
Because the thing is, if I could, I would definitely buy that amount, the amount at which I'll buy, and I would see like I will, I will get really
appreciable value.
Exactly. But yesterday I bought a certain amount, and I was like, "What is this? Is your pump working?" And like, yes, it is. I was like, okay. I couldn't believe it, Uyi. I couldn't believe it. It has really dawned on me that this is serious. This is real now.
It is.
1,000. It wasn't MRS though. It was another filling station, but 1,370 naira as at yesterday. That was what
it's quite cutthroat. Jumai, about barely a fortnight ago, we had seen a projection that it could hit 2,000.
Yes.
As much as you can say that is speculative, but we can see the gradual but steady rise now.
Yes.
So we hope that speculation, as we had thought it was, will not become reality. Because whether you like it or not, how do we explain that fuel that was selling for far less than 1,000 a couple of weeks ago, all of a sudden is now hovering in the neighborhood of 1,400.
Yes,
some persons are even saying they are part of the country where they have had to buy for as much as upwards of 1,400.
Yes, that's
all right. So if that's the case, if that's the reality for, some people in this country, it's only natural that you expect that the prices of essentials will skyrocket as well. Because, again, like we always say, once the price of fuel sneezes, everything else catches cold. And sadly so, that's where we are right now.
Yeah, sadly so, because, fuel is something that it's you and I. You need it on a daily. If you say, oh, I don't have a car, I don't, but guess what? Don't you?
At least I better pass my neighbor.
Exactly. Not only that, you have to transport yourself from one point to another. So in any way, it pinches you in one way or the other. So it's a concern for every one of us. And it's, this really, like you said,
Right.
when petrol sneezes, everyone can, because it affects every sector of life, like your daily life, it affects you. And it's just, we have to find a way around it, because this is cutthroat. Like, really, a lot of people are not finding it easy when it comes to the high rise of transportation. Now, if you want to send an envelope to Lagos, as small as an envelope, there's nothing in it, a paper, maybe a document with public transportation, they'll tell you 7,000 or 8,000, that little thing I can just put on the dashboard.
Apparently, they're factoring the cost of fuel.
Of course. So it's, you just wonder, you say to yourself, when is this going to end? How? You just know that now we know that it has to do with this war that is ongoing in Iran, has an effect on us. So we are all intertwined in a certain way and all of that. But we just hope the needful is done, and but there's a remedy as soon as possible, because it's not funny. A lot of people are not finding it easy at all. Go on the roadside. I was driving in this morning, a lot of people on the road, and you can see transporters there, but it's not that it's not like they cannot, they don't want to take that necessary transportation, but the cost, how much do they have? So it's a dilemma, really.
Quite a dilemma, quite frankly, it is a dilemma. But we're going to look at a few other issues that look a bit, if you like, intricate on the program this morning. The visit of the president to the United Kingdom is still forming several talking points across Nigeria and beyond. While the visit, we understand, was to reignite some sort of ties with the United Kingdom, Nigeria's former colonial masters, it has now gone controversial, given some of the developments coming from that visit, which was quite full of pomp. Ceremony right there in Windsor Castle. We'll look at all of those issues for you, but more importantly, we'll also look at the agreement that Nigeria has now signed with Britain, one that borders on the removal of illegal Nigerian migrants in the United Kingdom. What exactly are the elements in that agreement, and what are the implications for Nigeria going forward? We'll talk about those and then look at a few other issues for you after this break. Please stay with us. That history will be kind to President Bola Tinubu on account of these very historic visits that he has paid to the United Kingdom, where he was royally, I should say, hosted by King Charles III and Queen Camilla, the Queen Consort. Of course, a day later, he held a very strategic session engaging with Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. However, the question is, what exactly will history reward, or if you like, remember President Bola Tinubu for, as far as this visit is concerned? First of all, I guess what Senator Jimoh Ibrahim is referring to is the £746 million deal to help bring about reforms across Nigeria's ports, especially the Tinker port in Lagos. Well, what's in it for us? What will it cost us? And what advantage will it also give to us, economically speaking? For many people, it is President Bola Tinubu making a move to reposition Nigeria's economy across sectors. And in this case in particular, it is the blue economy, if you like, the marine sector. As we know it. You know, Joy, we talked about these very briefly last week with Emmanuel Ozomina.
Yes, we did.
When he talked about how that he wasn't really bothered about whether or not the president should have cancelled these visits because of the unfortunate incidents in Maiduguri.
Yes.
But he did highlight something. He said, look, that whether you like it or not, this was more of a ceremony than actually having to engage in such a way and to an extent that Nigeria maximally benefits from it. But the presidency and indeed the administration of President Bola Tinubu are not buying that, because they are saying, look, if anything, this is the first time in 37 years, almost 4 decades, that you are having,
it's a big deal.
The head of government, or if you like, the president of the world's most populous black nation, visits the royals in England. And as such, that's something we should commend. And it took a lot of work on both sides.
Yes, it did.
All right, for this visit to have happened. And as such, we shouldn't treat it lightly. Secondly, they say the deal that has been signed between Nigeria and the UK is quite a lot because it means so much for Nigeria in terms of bringing reforms to our ports, opening up the marine economy, and so on and so forth. But again, it is beginning to play into politics. Politicians are now saying, especially from the opposition side, that look, this was not just a step in the wrong direction, it was misplacement of priority. But as I said, there are two sides to a coin.
Yes, there are two sides of a coin. And I think we had to use a stone to kill two birds in this particular case. The president actually delegated and said, okay, the service chiefs, which they say might not do, like from the, we had a barrister who says it hasn't done anything. They've done that before.
Right.
During
It didn't make a difference.
It didn't make a difference during the time of President Muhammadu Buhari of blessed memories. Of course, it didn't make a difference. But I still say, let's not compare. This is a different administration. And that was during the time of President Muhammadu Buhari's tenure. But now this is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's tenure. Let's see whether there won't be a difference when it comes to the service chiefs moving down to the northeastern part of Nigeria. And the president was not lackadaisical. He still showed empathy and sympathy and said, my hearts are with these people. He sent his rep, for goodness sake, Vice President Kashim Shettima was there in Maiduguri and all of that. So I still say let's try as much as possible to cut the president some slack. These reforms is for the greater good of Nigeria. Let's see what it brings. Let's not be too quick to judge. I'm just saying.
Right.
I'm not saying that everyone is wrong, everyone is right. You all have your own opinion. We all have our own opinion. But let us just see what this brings at the end of it. Or let us not preempt. I think we're too good to actually preempt and say to ourselves, it will lead to this, it will lead to that. Let's just see what it brings. We're too quick to judge. I think we should all take it easy and just see this is for the greater good, we know. And this is a big deal. 37 years. I don't think we would have been smart if we would have allowed this just be swept under the table or just cancel us. This is there are some things that you have to take very seriously and not like a lackadaisical, because how you present yourself, you'll be addressed. They might just think that we are not serious. Well, this is a big deal. A lot of African countries will wish they were in this particular position that we got. And so I think we should make the most of it and see to create that balance. For as much as we understand a lot of issues are happening in Nigeria when it comes to terrorism and all of that, but at the same time, a lot of people are dying every day due to poverty and the rest. So we have to try and strike a balance. It's, it's very important.
Juba, I must tell you, I mean, you just hit a very strong chord when you mentioned poverty. You see, because for many people, these visits, no matter how well-intentioned it is, no matter the outcomes, I mean, how positively impacting those outcomes may be, if it doesn't address poverty at the very root of it, it will appear purpose would have been defeated.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, in a country where the numbers look very scary, my friend would say nightmarish, all right, because of the poverty brackets in Nigeria. You have tens of millions of people. I mean, the statistics are there. The National Bureau of Statistics has them. The World Bank has them. If those people, if those numbers are not cut down very significantly, no matter how much of grammar we speak in this regard, it won't make much of a difference. Which means that all of these efforts, whether you call them reforms, policy framework, if you like, call them initiatives to reduce poverty, if they do not translate to better living conditions for our people, if it does not become such that somebody who couldn't eat yesterday evening can now eat this morning or at least this afternoon, we have not done much. Because we've seen in this country, for example, where several initiatives have been rolled out in terms of trying to reach out to the poorest of the poor. I mean, that term has become
under the carpet too.
very, very popular recently. We didn't see much of difference in that regard. As a matter of fact, some of the persons who had been trusted, all right, to midwife those processes eventually were themselves enmeshed in allegations, very hefty allegations of corruption.
Very true.
So a lot of those initiatives, I mean, well-intentioned as they were, eventually hits the rock. And then we come back to square one, as they say. We begin from scratch. We have not been able to systematically and scientifically tie the investment we make to the outcomes that we get. There's a reason it's called social investment program.
Very important.
If you say an initiative is a social investment program, we must see how it changes communities.
Lives.
We must see how it transforms lives.
Yes.
Right? It's the reason even in the private sector you have what they call social impact investments. In other words, there must be deliberate strategy, all right, to impact. So you're making that investment because you want to make an impact, whether for 1 year, for 3 years, or 5 years, or 20 years. Then we must be able to measure. The other problem most times is when it comes to our own case, politics is always a driving factor, yes. And as such, before you even get the chance to look at the numbers, to do an evaluation, monitor impacts, it's election time again. So politicians on the one hand are defending the initiative, politicians on the other side of the divide are fighting the initiative. So in the end, citizens are at crossroads as to what exactly is going on here.
Yeah.
All right, but we must be clear as to what we want to achieve. We must be able to look back beyond politics, beyond party lines, and say, look, we have seen our people move from point A to point B on account of these, and these initiatives.
It's very important. You've just said it all. It's very important. Moving from point A to point B on account of these initiatives that will bring reforms and the betterment of individuals in our society. So it's very important we look into it. And for me, I say that balance is very important. It's very important we create that balance and understand that it is for the greater good. I always say it's for the greater good and the impact in which it will make when these implementations are made.
And we do hope that we're able to ultimately also tie value to all the monies we are borrowing from around the world to be able to drive all of these investments. Because in the final analysis, we must be a country that has a tradition of putting our money where our mouth is. And that's what we want to do with Ramsey Enoch Agbo as he brings us heart-to-heart inspiration.
Hello and welcome to another moment of heart-to-heart inspirational. Let's talk heart-to-heart a little bit because a lot of people have not been able to bounce back after the last time they failed. My name is Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Welcome to Heart-to-Heart Inspirationals. Failure is a feedback and not a funeral. I want to say that again because of people who failed. Some people fell and they remain on the ground. They never got up again because of what they feel people around them are going to say. But then failure is a feedback. And that's why some people will tell you all the time that whatever happens, all right, there is a lecture from every lesson. You know, whatever happens to you in life, there is something that you are meant to learn from it, either positively or negative thing that you need to take cognizance of and be watchful as you move on the journey of life. So I just want to tell you today that failure is a feedback and not a funeral. What kind of feedback did you get from that last failure? Have you even tried anything at all? Have you experienced failure before? If you've not experienced failure before, it means you need to try harder. Because on this journey of destiny, people who are successful today are people who have failed a number of times and they got up on their feet, learned from their mistake, and their mistake became a stepping stone for them. And of course, they are where they are today. Why? Because they never allow that failure to become a funeral to their dream. What am I emphasizing? As a matter of fact, let's normalize something today, all right? Let's normalize something today. A failure, you've heard about it all the time. Okay, this person is a failure, that person is a failure. You know, people assess their counterparts, their neighbors, their brothers, their colleagues differently with different perspectives. Some persons already have been tagged as failure, and that has been affecting a lot of people. But then, have you accepted that you are a failure? That somebody told you are a failure does not make you a failure until you accept that you are a failure. All right, not because it feels good, yeah, but because it is necessary. Sometimes, you know, it's risk. It's risk. If you have taken a risk before, and of course, it didn't go well the way you think it was going to go, and you failed, it doesn't mean that is a funeral. It doesn't mean you shouldn't try it again. I was speaking with someone a few days ago, yeah, and we're talking about a particular business, and the young man told me, now I am successful, but then during my wilderness experience, when I was in the workshop, nobody knew anything about me. When I was failing over and over and over again, I lost money several times. I had to stay indoors and think of the next thing to do. He failed severally until he said, no, I am not going to allow this failure become a funeral. My dream is not going to be cut short by this failure. And he stood on his ground. Consistency. I must always emphasize consistency anytime I come up to speak to anyone on heart to heart, because it is very important. If you want to succeed in life, then consistency and discipline is very important. But the bottom line is this: nobody ever succeeds without first stumbling. Yes. You stumble, then you stand again. Even every little child, before a child starts walking, you stand them up, you see them, they walk a little bit, they fall. They walk a little bit, they fall until their leg gets stabled on the ground. All right? And you see them walking firmly. Then before you know it, they start running. The same thing is applicable to life. So failure, as a matter of fact, is not proof that you can't. All right, it's not a proof that you can't do it. It's proof that you tried. It's a proof that you tried. When you fail, it means you tried and you failed. It doesn't mean that's the end. It reveals what doesn't work and refine what eventually would work later. That's what failure does. Anytime you fail, you know that, yes, this one does not work. Let me try the other one. It gives you a focus. It makes you know that, yes, if I go this way, I'm going to fail again. So I need to do something else. It's only a fool that do the same thing the same way and expect a different result. If you are doing one thing the same way all the time, you get the same result. You need to apply technicality, strategy, discipline, excellence every time. Whatever you do, let that touch of excellence be in your head. All right? So that when you fail in one thing, you try doing it the other way. But then don't allow that first, second, third, fourth failure be your funeral. Let your dream and your vision and your talent not be buried because you failed. Because that failure is trying to refine you. It's trying to build something in you. What do you have to do? I want you to know that failure, what it does is that it reveals what doesn't work and refines what eventually will work. But you need to have this mentality. Every setback is information. If you are willing to learn, yes, that's what it means. Every setback that you've had in the past is an information. Because there is something you need to learn from every setback, from every failure. Everyone throwing stones at you right now is because they know you are going somewhere. Let me tell you the truth. We have a lot of friendly enemies these days. Some people are smiling with you, but then they are not interested in your success. What they say behind you, if you hear it, hey, but then that shouldn't deter you. That shouldn't deter you because you have a destination. So every setback is information if you are willing to learn, because most people don't fail because they are incapable. That you failed, it's not because you are incapable, but because you are going somewhere, because you are dogged, because you are rugged, because you are determined, because you are focused, because you have a dream, you have a vision, something you are pursuing and something you want to get. You have a target. So when people like that fail, they fail because they don't stop. But if you stop anytime soon, it means that failure has gotten to you. Let me give you an illustration. For instance, a GPS recalculates when you miss a turn. It doesn't shut down. All right? Failure, in other words, simply means it's time to adjust. Anytime you fail, the message is, no, I need to adjust. This principle, this procedure, this formula is not working. I need to adjust. There is something I need to do so that I don't fail again. That's what it means. Anytime you fail, there is a message. It is telling you it is time to adjust the procedure. It is time to re-strategize. That's what it means. All right, so you don't need to abandon your journey because you failed. There is a practical mindset shift that you need to have, and this is it. Number one, stop attaching shame to failure. Yes, stop attaching shame to failure. Some people, when they fail, they feel shy. Oh no, I'm not going to get on that stage again. They will laugh at me. No, I'm not going to do that business again. People will laugh at me. People will mock me. The same people will celebrate and want to identify with you if you are a success. So there should be a mindset and a mind shift for you. Extra lessons instead of self-criticism. Stop criticizing yourself because you failed. Stop criticizing yourself. Stop comparing yourself to other people with other people because you failed. That you failed. Failure is not a funeral. Stop burying yourself in shame and criticism. Try again. Make it better. Make it wiser. Make it stronger. That's what it means. All right. Failure is tuition paid for future success. That is a quote that I'm bringing to you now. Failure, I said, is what? Is tuition paid for future success. But if you don't pay, if you go to school now, all right, 100 level, you need to pay a tuition in 100 level. You get to 200, you pay another tuition before you can get to 300 level. In every of this level, there are tuitions to pay. If you want to change levels in life, don't be scared of failure. If you are scared of failure, you will never try anything good. So what you have to do? Keep pushing. Don't bury your dream because of one mistake that you made. I'll keep saying this. Learn, rise, and move forward. Don't worry about what people are saying. Don't worry about the situation around you. Don't think, oh, I have failed. I don't need to try it again. Keep trying. Change the strategy. Become wiser. Failure make you wiser. Because you walk through this way and you fail, you apply this strategy, this technique, this principle, this formula, and you failed. You will now need to re-strategize. Use another formula. All right? Until you get to your success. Until you get to what you want to achieve in life. All right. So you need to know that anytime you fail, it's a signal that you need to turn. You need to do something again. You need to re-strategize. You need to improvise. Come up with something new. As a matter of fact, failure is not the best option for you. So what you have to do? Try as much as possible. Right, to be sincere in everything that you do. Because if you want to please people, it will be disastrous. You don't need to please anyone, all right? You don't need to please anyone. It is when you're thinking about pleasing people that when you stumble, you say, oh, I've disappointed this person. I've disappointed even people who really love you, who want you to be successful. By the time you fail, instead of them condemning you, they will come and encourage you to do better. And that's the reason you need mentors. That's the reason you need people to talk to per time. All right? You need to talk to people. See, if you are embarking on a project, I emphasize mentorship all the time. I was speaking with a friend a few days ago and I told the person, if I want to do this thing you're doing now, it is going to be express for me. It's going to be easier. I may have hitches. There might be some times where you have losses or maybe failure at some point, but then you have people to ask questions. I have someone to ask questions. Hey, I got hooked here. What do I do? Even the disaster is not going to be as disastrous as it would have been if you never have anyone to guide you on this journey of destiny. You really need people, okay? Because as your association determine your acceleration in life, okay? And your friends, you need to be careful with the kind of friends you have. If you have a bad friend, it is disaster. If you have a good friend, it means you have a shoulder to lean on, a shoulder to stand on and be tall so that you can get to that success that you are running after, that you are pursuing. Yes, congratulations, everyone. You are a success going somewhere to happen. Don't allow anything stop you on the way. Not failure, not criticism. Don't bury yourself because you failed. Failure is not funeral. Bye-bye for now and have a beautiful day.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debates, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
Welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, this is Global Morning on Global Television. Hope you are well inspired with Heart to Heart Inspirational with Ramsey Enoch Agbo. And at about this time is a newspaper review segment. And we'll start with the first paper of the day. It's This Day newspaper, and above the nameplate it says, inflation targeting regime will improve transparency, accountability, credibility of monitoring policy, says CBN. And of course, the rider reads there, it says, moving on now, below the nameplate, it says, Makinde, any PDP member with Wike is enemy of democracy. And of course, we have some rider there, it says, declares INEC judiciary, APC government behind FCT minister's camp Akpoti Idwanga laments loss of 34 PDP senators, urged defectors to return to party. Bala Muhammad insists no issue is irreconcilable. And Wike's fraction explains why reconciliation is unlikely, inaugurates convention committee. And the Star story again says Tinubu, Nigeria in talks with UK, France for support in fight against insecurity. And the writer reads says government intensifying efforts to tackle scourge, warns Middle East crisis may worsen inflation, reduce purchasing power. And it says assures Nigerians his government will continue to help the vulnerable. And basically that is it on this day newspaper. Please go out and get your, oh sorry, one more. And it says here, Ozoro sexual assault. I watched the horrific viral footage, says First Lady. And that's on page 12. And we and I were just talking about it. And
behind the camera.
Behind camera. And it's just unfortunate how this particular tradition has been changed and twisted and upside down, desecrated. When you hear what this Orozo festivity is all about, it's something that it's not what you are seeing now. It's just unfortunate that the twist and the desecration that has happened is just unfortunate. But hopefully we'll get more details in the course of as events continue to unfold itself. And next, of course, we have the next paper and
the Guardian newspaper.
The Guardian newspaper. Over to you, Mr. Uy.
Let's begin with the one top right corner. It says CPPE decries high cost of living, business pressures, 10 trillion naira loss to blackouts. On news page 3. One with a picture of the president. It says $1.5 billion deal. ADC Oye fought Tinubu's UK visits, squandered opportunity. France to back Nigeria with military equipment after Tinubu-Macron talks. What is that going to cost us as a country? We need to be sure. Eyes on insurance sector as banks survive recapitalization, liquidation. On page 6, ADC, Imo, Lagos, Rivers, Zamfara pledge loyalty to Mark's leadership. 2027, opposition leaders explore new alliance as internal crisis linger. Integrate energy sector, stop Genco's 6 trillion naira bailouts, NLC tells federal government. Tinubu Ezekwesili, NBA protests Ozoro sexual assaults in Delta. It's quite disturbing. Budgets. Only 10 states have publicly accessible local government area budgets. So what's happening with the other 26 states minus the FCT? Why is there, if you like, opaqueness around their books? Bandits storm church, kidnap 8 worshippers in Kwara. And now you say Kwara again on page 2, and now it has to be a place of worship. Well, those are your headlines from the Guardian newspaper. It will be a good thing if you take out time to read up details for yourself. Our next port of call is the New Telegraph newspaper.
All right, now the New Telegraph newspaper, above the nameplate, it says, tax, financial institution imputes to VAT up 40.4% to 314.1 billion naira. And before the nameplate, it says PMS sustained volatility pushes pump price to 1,350 naira per litre in Lagos. Like I told you, I bought 1,370 naira in Abuja, AY8 to be precise. So
Lagos is closing the gap now at 1,350.
Exactly. All right. So below the nameplate, it says here, alleged missing 210 trillion naira, that's syrup, urges Senate to publish names of implicated officials, and that's on page 4 of the New Telegraph. And on page 5 and 7, it says 2027 PDP strong will defeat APC in fair contest, says CP PDP. Turaki-led fraction wants to stop our convention, Wike's group. And of course, we can see that there is a little bit of internal crisis in the PDP there.
Apparently.
And on page 14 and 16, it says here, voters' apathy as INEC's dilemma in 2027 polls. Lawyers, how warning public confidence in polls can be tackled. And on page 80, it says 2027, Obi Makinde Dixon meets Kwankwaso in Kano. And the star story reads, Tinubu, we won't allow insecurity overshadow our efforts at helping the vulnerable. And the rider reads, says, UK, France, collaborating on equipment support, urges government to provide incentives to workers to cushion effects of inflation caused by Middle East war. And the rider says, bandits invade Kwara Church, abduct 8 worshippers. And yes, we Kwara again. And here it says, Ghana commends FG DSS over 44 nationals rescue. And that you can find on page 2 and 28. And on page 7 and 10, it says, intrigues as Atiku, Obi, Amechi, Uwajoba gear up for ADC presidential primary. Imo Rivers ADC disowns suit against party's leadership. Southeast leader direct withdrawal of cases. And on page 22, it says, troops arrest man with 36 suspected explosives in Lagos. Right. Okay. And here it says, Middle East crisis. Nigerian firms threatens as shipping crisis traps raw materials. And then the star story reads, Dr. Muda Yusuf foresees hyperinflation, vital remittance flows disruption. And another writer says, Iran dares Trump, threatens to attack regions, desalination plans. And it says, Netanyahu visits town hit by Iran strike, vows to target guard leaders. And that's on page 2 and 4. And here it says, cannabis compound may reverse fatty liver disease. And that's study, okay? And that's on page 30. So cannabis, we know that's substance. So
well, that must be subjected to very rigorous laboratory process.
Hopefully, but well,
ensuring that it's adheres to basic regulatory standards.
Exactly. And at the same time, we know fatty liver disease is something that we must take very seriously. But let's see where that balance will come from, and people will not take advantage of it and abuse it. That's the word. Next is the Nigerian Tribune.
All right, let's turn to the Nigerian Tribune. Thank you, Jumai. The first one here, the big one, it says, Kwankwaso Makinde Dixon meets in Kano. Quite a number of writers coming with that headline. Bala Mohammed, Makinde meet with Dixon in Bauchi. Obi meets Kwankwaso in Kano. Disregard misleading narratives on PDP leadership. Wike-backed group tells members. Several meetings happened just yesterday. Then if we move it up a notch higher, we have 2 headlines above the nameplates. Top left, experts divided over benefits of £746 million UK export finance deal for Nigeria. And then the 2 writers say, unstable FX regime threatens Apapa, Tinkan ports upgrade gains. NLC rejects federal government's planned 6 trillion naira power generation bailouts. Calls for Power Petroleum Ministries merger. Then further down, insecurity. My foreign trips paying off. France, UK committed to supporting Nigeria. Tinubu. IGP directs reduction of police tactical teams. Says tactical teams not disbanded. What's more, a bit of health here. Tooth loss doesn't just make eating harder. It makes thinking more challenging. That's according to researcher. All right, so if you think the pain that comes from losing a tooth is already bad enough, researcher says, well, you need to, you have something else coming.
Think twice.
Right. Right. Says it even makes thinking difficult. So brace up. Don't lose a tooth. All right. Gunmen abducts 8 worshippers during church service in Kwara. Motorists, passengers lament as petrol pump price hits 1,380 naira per litre. I'm sure This report was done from that same service station where Jimaito fell the other time, right? Those are your headlines from the Nigerian Tribune, everyone. Read up details for yourself as always as we move on to the first daily newspaper.
All right, now the first daily newspaper. Now beside the nameplate, it says, again, bandits raid Kwara Church, abduct worshippers, and it's just unfortunate. We say to ourselves, what is going on with what happened the last time in Kwara, Lauren? We have been thinking, we would have said to ourselves that
never again.
Precautionary measures must have been done so this incident won't happen. But now we're seeing that it's cause for concern. Now it's really, there's a cause for concern.
Right.
Now, the Star story says Kwara politics, and it says here Obi Makinde Dixon meet Kwakwaso in Kano. And below that it says NLC rejects 6 trillion naira power bailout, demands urgent reforms. Okay. Shatima briefs Tinubu in Lagos on Maiduguri bombings. And below that, it says here, missing 210 trillion naira. Syria presses Akpabio to name officials. Well, let's see the names and why that sort of amount is missing. UK tightens detention rules to speed Nigerian deportations. Army opens 2026 recruitment, makes NIN, BVN mandatory. Yes. ADC falls 746 million euro. UK Nigeria port deal demands transparency. I agree. ADC begins sales of nomination forms for congresses. Basically, that is all of the major headlines on the first daily. Please go out and get yourself a copy and be well abreast with some of the issues making rounds. Next is The Nation.
All right. Well, the first one here has a picture of Oyo State Governor. It says Makinde Bala Mohammed differ on way forward for PDP. Nigeria records $2.6 billion mining FDI, that's foreign direct investment coming through the mining sector. Alaki woos investors. Labour demands quick energy sector reform. Elumelu urges sustained support for small medium enterprises. Ghana North Federal Government, DSS, for rescuing 44 nationals. President, governor step up war against terrorists. Tinubu seeks French equipment, intelligence backing. Nigeria Governors Forum, State Police Bill ready soon. Things are moving in that direction real quick now. 10 discos got 0 megawatts allocation. 34 banks scale recapitalization hurdle. 8 days to CBN deadline, of course. Deadline is March 31st. Death toll of gas explosion victims now 60. That's it's a bit scary.
Yes, it is.
You can read up those very disturbing details on page 27. Well, the last one here says 8 abducted in Kwara Church. And that's one story syndicated this morning. Those are your headlines from The Nation newspaper. It's all on you to read up details for yourself as we move on to the Nigerian News Direct.
All right, down the Nigerian News Direct, above the nameplate, it says bandits abduct 8 during church service in Kwara as security forces rescue 3, and that's on page 7. And of course, that particular story is making all major headlines in some of the newspapers. Makinde Mohammed dismissed claims of irreconcilable differences with Wike fraction. Says PDP still poses a challenge for 2027 election, and that read you will find on page 4. Now the Star story reads Nigeria risk reversing disinflation gains, and that's from the CPPE warns, and that you will find on page 3. Now below that it says Makoko demolition. Our decision is rooted in the need to prevent impending disaster. And that read is on page 5, and that's from the Lagos government. And on page 21, it says, decision on who to elect belongs to the people, not Akume. And that's from Governor Alia, that's the governor of Benue State there. And it says, again, REA disperses 3.2 billion naira for 1.2 MWP mini-grid project in Bauchi. And that read you will find on page 18. And the next it says, provide incentives for the vulnerable, unite to defeat insecurity, Tinubu to governors, and that's on page 19. And those are all the major headlines on the Nigerian News Direct. Next we have the Vanguard. Over to you, Uyi.
Thank you, Jumai. Above the nameplate first, it says, a Vanguard Economic Summit, public-private sector leaders set to play lead roles. From exile to honor, Tinubu's democratic journey and Nigeria's reform moment. APC convention, aspirants cry foul, alleged hoarding of nomination forms. Quite interesting. We're talking internal politics now. State police, governors split as insecurity worsens nationwide. Most states back move. Others warn of abuse, repression. North divided. Kaduna, Plateau, Kano, Taraba set pace. Tinubu can't create it by fiat. Afenifere, lawmakers, governors face crucial tests. We will address Nigerians' concerns, Senate. All right, and then you have a picture there. Governors led by the Vice President Kashif Shettima visiting President Tinubu in his private residence in Lagos, says Governor Salah homage to Tinubu. U.S.-Iran in counter threats over Strait of Hormuz. Blackouts, NLC wants urgent overhaul of power sector. Seeks single energy ministry. Insists on no bailout for Genco, Discos as power crisis deepens. UK expands detention capacity to speed up deportations. Ozor Festival assault, Remi Tinubu, Ezekwesili, NAPTIP, others demand justice. Are we demanding justice from the comfort of our homes or our offices? Or are we taking to the streets and doing the necessary paperwork to demand justice? Well, we must go to the whole hog to demand justice beyond the rhetoric, all right? Well, those are all the headlines this morning from the Vanguard newspaper for you. The next will be the Punch newspaper.
All right, now in the Punch newspaper, giving us some very punchy headlines. It says, recapitalization, 1 week to deadline, banks in last-minute rush. And that's on page 23 on the Punch. And it says, airlines under pressure after jet fuel price surges 100%. And that's on page 24. On page 8, it says here, state police governors move to submit proposal to NAS. And beside the nameplate of the Punch, it says terrorism, Tinubu brokers French military assistance deal. And that's on page 7. And the Star story reads 2027 strategy. Makinde meets Kwakwaso as PDP reconciliation falters. And the writer says Makinde Bala Kwakwaso meeting sparks fear of mass movement to NDC. And still the second writer says Wike Makinde PDP camps clash again over convention support for Tinubu. And the next writer says PDP fractions trade blame for failed reconciliation talks. And below that it says NLC rejects fresh 6 trillion naira bailout for Gencos. And that's on page 24. On page 4 and 6 it says Mohbad's father insists on DNA tests before burial. And I think we've been going back and forth with this case of Mohbad. And it says Elumelu Foundation backs 3,200 African entrepreneurs, and that's on page 23. And those are all the major headlines on the Punch newspaper. Please go out and get yourself a copy and be well abreast with other major issues making round. And next is the Daily Sun. Over to you, Mr. Wee.
Over 150 bandits drown in Sokoto boat mishap as gunmen abduct aides in Kwara Church. That's interesting. Over 150. That must be quite a large boat. And to think they are all reported to be bandits makes the story even more interesting. But for context and perspective, you can read details on page 4 of today's issue of the Daily Sun newspaper. Recapitalization deadline. 3 banks await verification. CBN considers special lifeline for 2. The 30 banks cleared as experts urge strong post-consolidation competition. We hope to see that. All right, those details you would find on, continues on page 25. 2027, ministers hate panic as Tinubu remains neutral. Aspirants barred from lobbying president. NLC rejects 6 trillion naira bailout, demands energy sector reform, calls for merger of power petroleum ministries to fix energy crisis without actually address it. Well, you would find details for yourself on page 6. $16 million Tony Elumelu Foundation grants, Agric Fashion ICT lead 2026 entrepreneur cohort. That's a lot of money, right? Airfare hike imminent as Middle East tensions push aviation fuel to 2,557 naira per litre. Domestic airlines battle losses amid plunging traffic. Persistent fuel price surge leaves households, businesses gasping. Marketers strained. Citizens want federal government's intervention. Well, you can read up those details on the Sun newspaper today. Let's go look at one more for you, and that will be our last paper this morning, the Blueprint newspaper.
All right, now the Blueprint newspaper, above the nameplate, it says NDLEA bus drug syndicate says it's opioid hidden in carton walls. Okay. And below the nameplate there, it says here, convention, APC screens national office aspirants Tuesday. And that's on page 13. On page 25, that's the business segment. It says oil prices to average $120 if Hormuz is closed for 6 months, and that's from Fitch. And on page 32, that's the sports segment. OCM interested in buying Turkish MPFL clubs. Okay. And of course, the star story on the Blueprint says insecurity. France ready to support Nigeria with military equipment. And that's from Tinubu. And we have 3 riders there. It says we won't allow insecurity overshadow efforts at helping the vulnerable. I agree. Direct governance to provide incentives on fuel crisis transportation. Together, we must see to the end of our security challenges. And that's from the NGF. And that read you will find on page 8. Now below, by the side of that, it says, Heatwave, Nimnet advises Nigerians to wear breathable clothes, remain hydrated, predicts 3-day sunshine, cloudiness. Okay, so that's precautionary measures there. Please, let's take it into cognizance. It's very important. And here it says, Middle East tension. Citizens beg FG to FG for intervention as fuel, food, others prices soar. Am I surprised? No. Like we said, when fuel breathes, everyone else catches cold.
Yeah.
Okay. And here it says here, okay. NLC rejects 6 trillion naira power sector bailout, demands reforms, and that's on page 14. Page 14 again. Ghana thumbs up Nigeria on rescue of 44 nationals. And on page 26, it says Nigerian equities sustain bullish run gain, 1.765 trillion naira in 3 days. And below that, making rounds on all the headlines, it says security rescues 3 as terrorists abduct 8 Kwara church members. And that read you will find on page 14 of the Blueprint newspaper. And that's all on the newspaper review segment. Like Global Television has no input whatsoever on all the major headlines. It's just read exactly the way it is printed. So like we mentioned before, we have no addition or subtraction when it comes to these newspaper reviews that we've brought to you. Now, up next on Global Morning, we have Social Buzz with Ogochukwu Omobono. Stay tuned.
At Witchtech Cables, we don't just make cables, we deliver excellence. Our products are built with advanced technology, trusted for their unmatched quality and durability. With a wide range of cables, swift delivery, and continuous innovation, we stay ahead of the market demand. We are proudly Nigerian, fully indigenous, yet world-class. Backed by a professional team, strong technical support, and a deep commitment to customer satisfaction. Witchtech Cables is more than a brand, it's a promise. Witchtech Cables, quality cables better than the best.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
When social media speaks, we listen and we bring you the extra. It's your one-stop shop for trends, tweets, and the tea everyone's sipping on. Join the conversation, share your thoughts, and get that extra dose of what's shaking the internet.
And on issues making wave on social media to your doorstep.
Social Boss Extra, where the trend meets the talk, only on Global TV.
Good morning, Nigerians and viewers around the world. It's a good day to look at what's buzzing on social media. Today, we're still on the, very gruesome act that happened in Ozoro a few days ago, on Thursday to be precise. Several ladies were sexually molested by men who attacked them during what some have and described as raping festival in Ozoro, Delta State. According to reports, the community holds a festival in March every year in which ladies are barred from being seen in public, and any lady who fails to remain indoors is molested by the men holding the festival. Videos shared online showed several young men running towards any lady they see on the road, ripping their clothes off and molesting them. It's alleged that some of the ladies were raped by the rampaging men. Well, the Nigerian Bar Association has come out to condemn the Ozoro Rape Festival. According to the NBA, reports from the festival indicated that women were attacked in broad daylight by groups of young men. A recent festival in Ozoro, Delta State, described the incident as national disgrace and evidence of a collapse of conscience. In a statement issued on Saturday and signed by its president, Alfam Osigwe, alongside the chairperson of the NBA Women's Forum, Huwaila Muhammad, the association decried that what it's called barbaric acts carried out under the guise of cultural celebration. The society reveals its true character in how it treats its women. Well, that's the film ongoing right now. In as much as we have seen reports saying that this particular festival happens every year. I said it some time ago, I think that was on Friday. I said my stay in Delta State, I stayed in Delta State for like 15 years, and all through the 15 years, I never heard anything like that. A school somewhere very close to Ozoro, just a few kilometers from Ozoro, and I also never heard anything about this rape festival. Only for a video to suffice online, a lady was trying to explain all of this festival, and she said this festival was actually happens not annually, but she said it happens over like 15-20 years interval. It doesn't happen annually like some reports have carried out. And she also said that she remembered when it happened, that she's aware of just before this recent one. She said she was I think she was a baby, and they narrated the incident to her. Also, she asked her mom, and the mom told her that the last time she also experienced it. Was a very long time ago when her, the mom was saying this time around that when she was still very young. So with all of that, and some other persons also have come out to clarify that it's not an annual, celebration or festival like they call it. But what we are still not understanding right now, yes, we know that the police are actually investigating this matter, and also some persons have been arrested, and some persons are going through investigation. But the question is, the king who is saying that he's not aware of such a thing happening, and some other persons are saying this thing have been happening for a very long time. How do we start talking about that? Well, I'm not alone today in the studio. I have with me Uyi Ademofoye. Good morning, Uyi.
Good morning, Ogochukwu.
All right, so I know you've also seen these videos, very horrible videos.
Let's be clear, I've not seen the video. I didn't want to see the video. I read the stories.
We played them now.
I deliberately didn't want to see the video. I didn't want my mind to be assaulted.
Okay, it's a very bad one. It's a very, very bad sight. Like, thank God that we had to blur it. But like when you see the raw video, you could see there was a particular girl, they were all dragging her, like trying to, tear her shirt. Someone also came out online to say, you know what, my pastor's daughter was also a victim. That they caught her and they even, used the rod on her, hit her and all of that. Very, very bad. How come we're still talking about this in 2026? I thought we were supposed to be talking about insecurity, banditry, and all of that, and how to help the economy grow, instead of talking about a culture or tradition that is supposed to have been abolished like a long time ago. How did these people cope with all of this culture all of these years?
It's interesting. We're hearing different stories. First of all, we're hearing that this is a beautiful culture that has been on for a long, long time. That is such that women who have been married for years but have not been able to make babies come together, have this festivity, connect, hoping that they would, at least within the next one calendar year, be able to, sing the song of joy, having been able to deliver babies. That's been the culture from time immemorial in the voice of my mom. But what we're learning now is that the one of these last Thursday took a very satanic twist, with all of the drama, or even worse, that we saw. Now, fast forward to, of course, naturally, you see reactions to all of these events. The First Lady, Her Excellency Oluremi Tinubu, has responded. Dr. Obiageli Ezekwesili, NAPTIP, they have all reacted. They are even now saying that justice must be done. I understand they are planning a protest in that community in Delta State. Civil society organizations have been speaking up, especially those foundations that are focused on the girl child, and things like that. But the question is, beyond that, what are the issues we're dealing with? Experts have come to fault home bringing, that moral values are fast eroding, and as such you see all of these because these are Nigerian children. In other words, they are Nigerian children born of Nigerian parents, apparently. So how were they raised? What did they learn? What were they taught growing up? Because I'm very sure there are other young people in that same community that didn't participate in it. Not because their hands were fettered or their legs were shackled. But the difference at this point in time essentially was the upbringing, was the moral orientation. So that's one part of the conversation. Another part is to say that we live in a society where anything goes, because people know that there's a pretty good chance they will not be punished for doing the wrong thing. So they feel at liberty to push the limits, as we say. So that's one of the issues we're seeing here. But the question is, while we understand the deed has been done, there's nothing we can do to reverse or undo it. What will now happen to those who have perpetrated this very heinous crime? Yes, we hear about 15 or so people have been arrested, taken into custody, including a community leader in Ozoro. But will this be swept under the carpets? Because Nigerians know how to move on real quick. Ogochukwu, by the time we come back here on Friday, or say between Friday and Monday, are we still going to be having this conversation? Will law enforcement still be on this issue? Are we still going to see a situation where everyone who has been involved, directly or indirectly, including those who have provided one form of support, encouragement or the other, all right, be made to pay for their own share of this crime, so to speak? So I think those are the issues you should be dealing with. And then going forward, what modalities are we going to put in place to ensure that, whether it's in Ozoro or anywhere in this country, such a very dastardly practice does not happen?
Thank you so much, Oye. Honestly, I feel so sad because Ozoro, I said it on Friday, Ozoro community is mostly filled with students. It's like a student environment. You know, we have the Polytechnic there, very big Polytechnic.
The Delta Polytechnic that has a campus there.
Yes, it's very big. Like we get to hear Ozoro, like it's a big Polytechnic, so we have students feel, you know, that particular environment. So I can understand that some students, like if I'm a stranger, I wouldn't know that anything is happening there, and I can just say, okay, let me move around. And sometimes they don't even get to inform the students before time, like tell them, okay, we are having this kind of festival, please stay indoors. But even if you have to, you know, do something like this, can we please even stop this kind of act in 2026? Like, I really did not think that I'll be discussing about something called rape festival. These are things that, you know, people get to hide to do it and all of that. But this time around, we see over 100 men chase one girl just because they want to. What exactly is the point? Well, you also talked about continuity, and we hope that they carry out, you know, more investigations, you know, happen, and also we get to see more arrests, and also put a stop to this kind of festival. It's not supposed to be happening in 2026. We should have other things to discuss in 2026. Well, thank you so much once again, Uyi, for your contribution to today's topic. And this is where we draw the curtains for Social Buzz here on Global Morning. And Uyi and Juma will be bringing you the discussion section of Global Morning. So stay with us. Good morning once again, Nigeria and the rest of the world. I am Ogot Kumogno. Bye for now.
When social media speaks, we listen and we bring you the extra. It's your one-stop shop for trends, tweets, and the tea everyone's sipping on. Join the conversation, share your thoughts, and get that extra dose of what's shaking the internet.
And on issues making wave on social media to your doorstep.
Social Buzz Extra, where the trend meets the talk, only on Global TV.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
Our language, our vibrant culture and colorful tradition, our industrious and hospitable people. This is Nigeria, a nation that prides itself in abundant human and natural resources. From east to west, north to south, we sparkle, we shine, we have a common bond. Fellow Nigerians, let's do away with ethnic, religious and regional sentiments that divide us as a people. God has blessed us and empowered us to find strength in diversity. Let's make our faith and way of worship our source of unity as we build our nation that stays united. Nigeria, together today, together always. This is a public announcement brought to you by Global Television.
All right, so let's look at a couple of things happening now within our polity. Yesterday, we understand was a series of meetings, in the manner of speaking. On the one hand, Peter Obi, we understand, had met with Kwankwaso in Kano, while Governor of Oyo State, Seyi Makinde, had also paid his own visits, where himself, Dixon Kwankwaso, sort of connected to discuss issues around 2027. But this is a bit interesting now, because while we understand Mr. Seyi Makinde, the governor of Oyo State, as of today, is still officially a card-carrying member of the People's Democratic Party, there are rumors all over the place that there's a chance he will be moving to the ADC. In the case of Mr. Kwankwaso, well, we know what has happened to the NNPP. The governor has defected to the APC,
yes, he has.
leaving Mr. Kwankwaso in the rain, politically speaking. Mr. Kwankwaso says is the betrayal of, is it the century, he said, or something? But whatever that may mean, as it stands today, NNPP as a party has been redefined in Kano on account of the defection of the governor.
Yes.
Whether Mr. Kwankwaso is going to remain in NNPP as we know it, or is going to move his base to the Kwankwasia movement, all right, or not, is what we're yet to see. But in all of this, we see the drama that's playing out now regarding 2027. So everybody is putting in their best to ensure that they have some competitive advantage.
Yes, but like I said, let's see what 2027 will bring. But at the same time, let it be for the best interest of Nigerians, not just for the best interest of the individual involved. But at the same time, let's just watch and see. Politicians, like I always tell you, they're unpredictable. You'll be surprised what happens behind closed doors or what they feel is very beneficial to them. You remember the guest that came in last week? He says no one will go into anything if it's not beneficial to him as an individual. So let's just see what this brings in all of this that is playing out. I think we should just sit back and watch and just hope for the best, basically.
Right.
Let the best man win.
May the best man win. Well, on that note, we'll take a break now. When we return, we'll turn our attention to the fallout, or if you like, the outcome of President Bola Tinubu's visit to the United Kingdom. Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
In an age of breaking news, you need a trusted source that prioritizes accurate, factual, and unbiased reporting. This is AM News, and I am Ubong Usoro.
On Global Television, our news is rooted in verified and authoritative storytelling that keeps you educated, informed, and enlightened on all the issues that matter to you. I am Sadia Yakubu. This is Midday News.
You can trust our multi-platform news broadcast real-time and fast-check stories for all the big local and foreign headlines round the clock. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. This is News Express.
Our array of anchors delivers the news to our teeming viewers, breaking it down with context and perspective. This is News Cycle on Global Television. I am Anieti Patrick.
And the flagship news is your hub for the day's most engaging stories. This is News Prime, and I am Jumai Manson.
Did you miss any of our news rounds? No worries. Catch up at 10 p.m. and midnight, 7 days of the week. I am Mukhtar Kasim.
Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. We're active across all social media platforms at Global TV NG.
Global TV News, accurate and unbiased. I'm Uyi Agmofwebe.
Time to get it on the road for you now. Our first conversation this morning on the program focusing on taking stock of quote-unquote blessings of this last trip to the United Kingdom made by President Bola Tinubu. And of course, as always, we have seen talking points since his return to Nigeria with, again, sort of divergence in opinions regarding whether or not that trip was different from the previous ones, and if or otherwise it was worth it in the first instance. To help us find context and perspective this morning, we're joined by Chuks Akamadu, a lawyer, as well as a public affairs analyst. So I would like to say a big thank you to you, Chuks, for coming on the program.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for being here.
President Bola Tinubu, like many other presidents, is not a stranger to being the one whose trips, foreign trips in particular, are criticized. Every time the president travels, talking points emerge naturally. In this particular case, this instant case of his trip to the UK, like Juma and I talked about last Friday, there are people who said that trip should have been cancelled in the first instance on account of the horror that we saw in Maiduguri, Borno State capital. There are those who say, well, yes, he should have made that trip in the first instance, at least to send a strong message to terrorists that they can't dictate for our nation, including the leadership. However, we are now taking stock of the president's visits, his engagements. What are your thoughts in that regard in terms of what Nigeria stands to benefit?
Well, I think the nation is witnessing some interesting times where assailed on so many fronts. Being a nation embattled, I think it's time for all of us to also accept that the most important thing is that the wheel of progress keeps running. It has to keep running. Yes, insecurity is a major challenge in this country. In fact, I think that this administration and the previous ones before it haven't done or didn't do enough, meaning that they should do a lot more than they have done. That said, I think that the president's scheduled visit to the UK shouldn't have been aborted on account of, it would have been cowardly on our part for the nation to cancel such a major, significant, and indeed potentially impactful foreign engagement with a country as key as United Kingdom. So it was good that he proceeded with that scheduled appointment in the UK, and then I'm also glad that from the arts and culture standpoint that there were many takeaways. There were many takeaways for me. The Nigerian modernism exhibition that was staged for me was well thought out in the sense that it provided an opportunity for Nigeria to showcase itself as a society that has contributed immensely to the growth of Earth, to human civilization, to the domain of the domain of the creative industry. Because before now, the narrative had always presented us falsely as people who had been intellectually, artistically parasitic. But that particular exhibition put Nigeria out there as a country that has been contributing to the world of art, the world of civilization, like I said, the world of culture, during the independent and post-independent era. So it is good for the image of our country. It also sends a message across to the rest of the world that yes, we might be UK's former colony, but today we are engaging on equal terms. We are a sovereign nation. We have come of age. At no point have we really been a liability to humanity. We've always been endowed with a whole lot and all of that. So looking at it from that angle, I think it's good. And again, it also shows that Nigeria has come to a point where it can assert itself outside of the country. It shows that we have something that can actually be exhibited for the rest of the world to see, meaning that Nigeria is a good place to visit for scholars, for those who are culture, who are art enthusiasts that would want to learn more or gain deeper insight into how richly endowed we are in terms of art and culture and all of that. So it is good for our image, it is good for our self-esteem as a people, and it's also good because if you don't get your culture right, if you don't get your identity well framed, it will be difficult for you to really function optimally. Why? Because you have to be sure of your identity before you can face the rest of the world and sell yourself and whatever that you're blessed with. So for me, it's very key because culture precedes economy. That identity aspect is very, very important because that visit, of course, we could see that even the King of England had to welcome the president in our own dialect, saying a carball. But that's good. But in the past, there were the ones that taught us their language. Right. But today, the King of England is speaking African language. So beyond Nigeria, I think it was even good for the entire African continent.
Right.
Let me take you back a bit. You mentioned something about insecurity, and you said this administration, the one before this one, the other one, have not done much in that forte. Now, when we look at this particular administration, we know that they are doing as much as they can to nip this particular menace in our society, trying to nip it in the bud. Do you think that the president, when he said the service chiefs should be deployed to the northeastern part of Nigeria, is part of the ways or a step in the right direction to try as much as possible to get the morals of soldiers to try and curb this menace of insecurity that we are faced with? That's been with us, by the way, for 17 years.
Well, for me, I think it was really knee-jerk reaction on the part of the president. It was impulsive to ask the service chiefs to relocate to Borno. Why? What for? What that means is that if a bomb is detonated in Port Harcourt, he will have to ask them to move to Port Harcourt so as to show seriousness as regards. No, we have to get to a point where this whole thing will be structured in a manner such that you don't have to be physically present. What are you talking about? In this time and age where technology does the bulk of the security thing you're talking about, and you're talking about physical presence. Well, I can't connect with that. I can't connect with that at all, because really there is a chain of command.
Right.
The military hierarchy, the security agencies, and all of that, they have that from Mr. President goes down to perhaps the defense minister, from the defense minister to the chief of defense staff, who now deals with the service arms, army, navy, and all of that. Come on, I don't think physical presence really should take priority when it comes to attending to issues of insecurity in the land. But again, I am a bit worried. Over the weekend, I read in the papers where former Chief of Army Staff, General Buratai, said, it's not in my place to name those who are sponsoring insecurity in this country. The federal government knows them. And this man, what's his name again? Gumi, the Islamic cleric, has also said it repeatedly. The federal government knows these people. That they know where they are. They know those who are sponsoring them. So I really don't understand why the hesitation on the part of government to go all out in calling out people who are directly or remotely connected to this scourge of insecurity in the land. What are we waiting for? Is it until all of us are consumed? People are dying. Souls are being wasted. And these things are things that can never be reversed. You can't bring back life. So whatever that can be done, please, should be done. We should go all out to make sure that we put this behind us so that Nigeria can move forward once more and then attain its full potential.
I want to ask you two questions in one, Chooks. There are people who say that whatever we're seeing now with insecurity won't have happened under an Obasanjo administration, right? That it won't happen. And they cite examples. They talk about OD, for instance. They talk about other cases where the former president had taken very precise decision. And then that's on the one hand. On the other hand, if you hear a man like Gumi say the government knows these people, their sponsors and all of those who are critical to all of these attacks, and then you hear someone like Buratai, a man who had also said that it will take 20 years to win insurgency, also said the same thing. And the governor of Zamfara State had also said that on his own device, he can see the locations of these bandits. And as such, government and indeed the security agencies should take advantage of this intel to run circles around these people. Do you think the Tinubu administration is coming weak in this regard, given the promises it made going into the election in 2023?
Well, sorry, regarding Obasanjo, whether under Obasanjo a thing like this would have happened, I would like to say without any apologies that I personally think that since October 1, 1960 till date, that we have only had two leaders. Others were heads of states and presidents.
And there's a clear-cut difference.
Oh yes, leaders. When a leader, what drives a leader primarily is vision, having a vision for a society. And if you ask me, I've seen that in only two past heads of states and heads of government in this country. Others were president, others were heads of office, heads of office, and heads of government. Obasanjo is one of those two. So Obasanjo had a vision. Obasanjo, if you watch Obasanjo's time in office, this was a man who carried the burden of Nigeria on his shoulders. And one thing about him that nobody can deny is that everybody could see through Obasanjo that he was an unrepentant patriot. That was one thing Obasanjo had going for him, that every part of the country, Every segment of the society, across religions, across ethnic lines, nobody doubted his sincerity of purpose. You cannot say that for, well, Yar'Adua's term of office was short-lived. You can't say that about Goodluck Jonathan. With due respect, you cannot say that about the late President Muhammadu Buhari. And you cannot
even for a military general.
Sorry, yeah, of course, yes. And you cannot say that about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. People don't believe this. They don't have the buy-in of the people. And I keep saying it. It is a major challenge that the people of Nigeria are not owning this fight against insecurity. That is where I think we need to look deeply into and see how we can resolve that. The people are not with the government. The government appears to be attempting to clap with one hand. You can't clap with one hand on account of trust deficit. And that trust deficit, if you ask me, is getting wider and wider by the day.
Barrister Chuks, how can we close this trust deficit? What
it
is
has to be. It's our leaders. It's our leaders would have to make us believe that truly it's our challenges that they take to bed and they wake up with our challenges.
How can they do that?
Oh, they can demonstrate it in several ways. They can demonstrate it in several ways. If, for instance, I'll tell you, if, for instance, we hear that after National Economic Council meeting or Council of State meeting, where you have the president and you have all the governors and all of that, and you hear them saying that given the prevailing security realities in the country, the president is going to reduce his security personnel. And that the governors are also saying, come on, let's cut down on how many people, how many outriders, how many DSS people that protect me. Let them sell, let those excess go and join the fight against the people. That they trust that the people that they want to protect will not hurt them. But you can't have yourself well fortified. You live in a fortress and people are vulnerable. And you come and address us on TV, address us on radio from time to time that efforts are being made to quell all of these things. And we are not seeing anything. And we are dying every day on account of insurgency. And then the ones that are caught, that's the most pathetic part of it. The ones that are caught, we are told that they are repented. And after repentance, whatever that means, and they are absorbed into our security forces. And people, and you don't sit back and ask yourself, the victims of the activities of those repentant, how do they feel? What are you doing? You are actually grooming more people. You are actually making insecurity attractive to a lot more people than the ones you say that have repented. Come on, there should be consequences. Somebody should not pick up arms against the state, and the person is spilling blood, slitting people's throat, and this thing happens every day. And then tomorrow the person wakes up and says, I am repented. Okay, because I am repented, the federal government now embraces the person and says they've gone into negotiation. What message, really, I ask you, is the government sending across to the victim families?
Let's talk about, since what?
Because why I'm saying this, sorry.
Right.
Why I'm saying this is, for Nigeria to overcome its present challenges, the word justice must be prioritized. Justice is important. If you don't have justice, it will be difficult for you to get the peace you're looking for. What's peace in the absence of justice? Excuse me, hallucination.
Like Juma mentioned, this fight has been effectively here for about 17 years.
Yes.
Of course, on account of the president's directive before he left for the UK that service chiefs should relocate to Borno State. The chief of defense staff himself addressed journalists right there in Maiduguri, and he said, look, the people of Yobe and Borno by all means must own this fight against insecurity. And he mentioned very clearly that the bulk of the elements responsible for this level of insecurity, these renewed attacks, are from Borno and Yobe states. Of course, as expected, that remark has now generated a lot of controversy. Do you think, I mean, you are not a military man, but of course you have followed these developments over time. Do you think the CDS was probably talking purely on the basis of intel, credible intel, or was he trying to perhaps move the responsibility of fighting insecurity to the people?
I'll go for credible intel. He's in a position to speak authoritatively on matters such as that. Like I said earlier, when you reward violent crime and criminality, what do you expect? The right thing ought to have been the government disincentivizing insecurity. But I can't say that. Yes, they are making efforts to ensure that we are safe. But how do we disincentivize insurgency? How do we disincentivize banditry? Because, I mean, you don't treat these things with kid gloves. I don't understand it. I am not surprised that the CDS, it was CDS you quoted, that spoke that way. Why? Because, like I said, the way we handle culprits, the ones we apprehend, the way we handle them, I can assure you, can only grow more and more army of insurgents and bandits. Because their activities wreak havoc in homes. The only way you can stop it is to ensure justice. I'll give you. Look at this analogy. You have a family of 5, and then bandits storm that home, and they take away mother and father, and 2 more. They kill mother and father, and then abduct 2, remaining 1. That one that they have left, what would you expect that person to do? At the end of the day, the only way to wipe his tears would be to ensure that the culprits, when are caught, number 1, and then when they are caught, they face justice. When they face justice, that is the only time he would believe that the departed souls of those 4 have gone to be with God. If you don't do that, you're just incentivizing banditry, kidnapping, and insurgency. What you're telling him is that this thing could actually be rewarded, especially when he hears or sees the same faces on TV that they've repented and they've been granted amnesty.
The Nigerian government is asking is assuring Nigerians that the United Kingdom and indeed France have promised to support our fight against insurgency. In the case of France in particular, we're here is going to be with equipment and intel gathering. Of course, as we speak on this program now, we understand the US is big on the ground in Nigeria, 200 troops thereabouts, and then we have a couple of drones dispersed across northwest and northeastern Nigeria. Yet the Nigerian government says they're not here for combat. They're only here to give us some sort of technical support in terms of advisory, assistance, and what have you, and things like that. Do you think we are galvanizing properly for the fight against insurgency?
Well, I think we've gotten to a point where the government has realized that it can no longer play the ostrich. Because before now, the government was citing sovereignty. And they were saying, oh, we don't need foreign aid. We don't need foreign assistance in the fight against insurgency. But obviously, they are giving in. So at least I'm glad that we've stopped playing the ostrich by accepting that really we have weaknesses that foreign countries can help us overcome. That's a welcome development. America is on ground. UK is welcome. France is welcome. Whatever that we can do. But again, it's coming late. It's coming late. It's just like the case of state police. What is stopping us? I don't understand this. Why don't it's state police? Is it a matter for debate? Answer is no. It's glaring. Everybody can see clearly that the Nigerian police force is incapable of manning the 36 states of the Federation and 774 local government councils. Then why are we making state police a matter, a subject of debate? So the area we move into state policing to complement the the support we are now receiving from foreign countries, the better for us to see whether we can get a hold of this thing considerably.
You know, I want to take us to the visit now. How does this visit reflect Nigerians' foreign policies direction under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's tenure, or Laisi administration?
Well, I think from the look of things, I think this trip underscores the fact that Nigeria is non-aligned, that we are everybody's friend, that we are not taking sides with anybody, any country that wishes to do business with us on favorable terms, that such country is welcome. Because I know that Nigeria, as we speak, has very robust relations with countries like China, India, the United Arab Emirates, America, United Kingdom, and all of that. So I like that fact that we are non-aligned. That I mean, we are everybody's friends, and then because that's what we need. We need everybody to help us get our acts together, and then fulfill our destiny as a nation. So I like the trip. It further goes to show that Nigeria is willing to do business with every country, any country that can add to us. Yes.
All right. On the final note now, let's talk about, as it were, some of the dividends, as the government would want us to believe, coming out from this trip. Just last question. We understand there's a £746 million deal for port reforms, essentially, coming through on account of this visit by the president to Windsor Castle. For the government, is a plus going forward. But when you look at all of this, for those who say there are other critical sectors that we should be paying attention to, for instance, let's say our rail system is not where it should be, that is far from the reality of what a rail system is in the world today. What are your thoughts in that regard?
Well, I think that the federal government is in the best position to determine what should be prioritized
in terms of foreign direct investment.
Yes, because information and data available to them are not available to me. So in that regard, I am limited in knowledge. So the federal government has decided to prioritize port administration and all of that. I'm very sure that there must have been a good reason for that. In any event, a country like UK, how about the interest of the country that is coming in to help us? It's also possible that UK is not interested in our agricultural sector or health sector. If it is port administration or port operations, that matters to them. Yeah, of course, yes, because they are also looking for how to benefit. Do you understand? So you just have to do your SWOT analysis, look at your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and then you scan your environment, and then what you do, you now settle for that which makes the best business sense to you in this circumstance. That is what I think the federal government has done.
You know, other people would. I was talking about this, the latest when it comes to ports in Lagos, and someone was saying that why Lagos when we have ports in Onne, we have in Warri, we have in other places. Why
the Eastern Corridor?
The Eastern Corridor. Why are we just streamlined when it comes to the Lagos port? Is there something that we do not know, or why is it so?
Did you ask question when Minister Rotimi Amechi, when he was in charge of Transport Ministry, when he was building road to Maradi under President Muhammadu Buhari?
They said it was a presidential directive at the time.
Exactly.
Amechi's hands were tied.
Okay, well, that trend has continued. That trend has continued. So don't be surprised that we might have a president from say Taraba tomorrow, and the person decides to say, okay, the whole of Taraba will be turned into dry pots. These are some of the things we need. That's why I said we need the public buy-in. Right. You need to instill confidence in the people. You need to win the confidence of the people. The people have to believe that truly that you represent them. People have to see you as the closest approximation of their collective aspiration as a people. You must embody that thing. The moment that is done, forget it. Nigerians will give you all necessary support to succeed in office as president or governor, as the case may be.
Barrister Chicks, I want to ask a question. I know this is your forte when it comes to tourism. Now, this visit with Nigeria to the United Kingdom, now, how can it help us in that area when it comes to tourism, education, when it comes to, inflation, what we're facing, more unemployment, all of these issues that are the major problems in Nigeria? How do you think this visit can help navigate to make it better and just streamline the whole thing?
Okay, number one, the visit underscores the fact that yes, we are battling with insecurity, but we are not in a state of war. And that means Nigeria is still a choice destination. That's number one. Then number two, like what I talked about earlier as regards that exhibition. That exhibition also presented an opportunity for people who would want to know more about Nigeria, because I'm sure not a lot of people knew that Nigeria has contributed immensely to the growth of the global arts and culture as was seen at that exhibition. So people that in itself can stimulate interest in people to come to Nigeria and really get to know more. Because so many people think that Nigeria is one dungeon without really knowing that, come on, we might actually be a rainbow. We have all shades, all colors, and I can assure you our strengths far outweigh our weaknesses as people.
That's a fun place to leave it. So I would like to say a big thank you to Barrister Chuks Okomadu for sharing these very valuable insights on the program with us this morning.
Thank you for being part of the
It's been a pleasure to be here.
All right, let's take a break now. Second conversation will focus on the, if you like, call it legal mutual assistance that's now being signed between Nigeria and the United Kingdom to make the removal of Nigerian illegal migrants in the UK easier going forward. What are the implications? What are the core elements in this agreement? We'll find out behind this short break. Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
We're now joined by Barrister Monday Ejay, apparently a lawyer and a legal analyst. So help us understand what the deal is between the United Kingdom and Nigeria regarding removing overstayed, illegal, in some cases criminal Nigerian migrants and bringing them back home to the country. We understand that deal from the Nigerian side was signed on behalf of the country by Dr. Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, the Minister of Interior. Barrister Monday Ejay, I would like to say a big thank you to you for coming.
The pleasure is mine. Good morning.
Thank
Great.
you for coming. Good morning.
So let's begin from the very start. It's been a long time coming. We understand that this deal had been in draft for quite a long time, but ultimately got signed a few days ago in London. When you look at the, if you like, the clauses in it, you look at the elements, what are your concerns? Because some people would rather think that this sort of thing puts Nigeria ultimately at a disadvantage.
Well, if they have said so, they are not absolutely wrong. Because usually when you go on state visits,
right,
and then you are into diplomatic conversations, what you need to basically do is to put the interest of your country at the forefront. So whatever the outcome will be, you should ensure at all times that at worst, it's a give and take situation. Because if you take a listen to, or if you read through the press release from the UK and the press release from Nigeria, and even the sideline speeches that were delivered, you will come to the conclusion that that particular MOU or agreement is basically a UK thing. From my own perception is that UK probably they feel that they need more ease with respect to deportation.
Right.
With respect to deportation, they didn't even touch on the issues on repatriation. Nothing in that clause talks about the ease of visa application for Nigerians, for example.
But even though we're the biggest visa market in Africa for the UK,
to them,
yes, they acknowledge that much, right?
They acknowledge that, and then they are not making it easy for us. I'm aware that for some years now, Europe and America, they've been on this mission to curtail or restrict the migration of people from Africa, maybe particularly even Nigeria, right into their country, and they have taken serious measures. And I think UK got to a point where they feel they need some form of collaboration to make these things easy. For example, they will say, look, okay, create a reception for them, make it easy for them to land at the airport, receive them, give them some temporary, what was in the clause for the returnees or the deportees? There's basically nothing there. You receive them, maybe you give them temporary shelter 1 or 2 days, and then you create ease of transportation for them to get to their final destination. There's nothing else there. But I think the only thing there for us is when they are going to do deportations, it will not have to be as brutal or as swift as they used to do it. Maybe now you now have a little time to put whatever it is you are legally entitled to, because I don't believe, no matter what the clause said, the clauses, I think one of the clauses was put in such a way that you might begin to have the impression that once deportation kicks in, you move out with your assets.
That's not the case.
Back to the country, but it will not be the case. Because I'm aware of civil forfeiture proceedings,
right.
I'm aware of criminal forfeiture proceedings, and I know the whites that I know will ensure that they go through the legal procedure to keep and retain what they can keep and retain before you go with what you can go with. So if they are exploring their own internal legal system to achieve that, you cannot say there is a breach of that clause, because the repatriation and deportation are a little bit different. For repatriation is maybe you have a prisoner of war, you have an asylum seeker in that country, you have a citizen there that needs to go back. No criminal or lawful activity is involved. Now, for deportation, the thing is, there is a criminal element in the act of exit from that particular state. Maybe you breached your residency,
you overstayed.
Yes, or you overstayed
your mode of entry to the country.
Yes, or you are involved in one scam or criminal activity or the other. Now, in that case, I don't see the possibility of UK allowing you to go with your proceeds of crime in quotes, because at the end of the day, you'll have to show which assets is linked to the crime you have been accused of and which assets are not linked to the crime you have been accused of. But if the situation is a situation of Mr. A or B or Mrs. B has overstayed our visa limits or our visa period, his or her visa period, then the situation will be a little bit different. They might allow you to pack your things, get your assets, probably even dissipate them before you leave. And I think one of the things UK also tried to take care of, which I don't think is an advantage to us anyway, is that they ensured that some of the bureaucratic bottlenecks that they encounter in sending people back to Nigeria, for example, before they will need the Nigerian side to prepare some form of documentation for you before you can leave. Now they can just issue a UK letter. They call it a UK letter and then send you back with that without necessarily passing through our own is the embassy I'll call it now?
Our High Commission.
Our High Commission in that country. So evidently there is no much of gain therein for us. The only thing that we can say, is of little benefit is if people have overstayed their visas, they will not just be bundled and thrown on a plane back to the country without moving with their assets. Apart from that, the whole thing, like every other arrangement people have complained about or of, boils down to the fact that UK remains the highest beneficiary. Another thing that particular agreement talked about was maybe they will arrange flight for you, whether it's a chartered flight or a scheduled flight. I don't see how that one is an issue. You will not put the person on a boat to Nigeria.
Of course.
Definitely you have to put him on a plane back to the country. So I don't see it as a plus.
Okay, I think Jibai was.
Now let me take you back now to the historical UK Nigerian visit to the UK. Now, how do you think this will influence the economic and political partnership between Nigeria and the UK?
You know, there are two sides to the question. The side that has to do with the government, and their issues of legitimacy on the international or global stage, and the part that has to do with the masses, whether there are benefits for the masses. Because when there is some sort of crisis of legitimacy, a government is eager to do anything to be acceptable by other countries on the global map. So if the whole essence of it, I'm not saying that is what it is, but if the agenda from here is that, we see this as an acceptance of our government, as an approval of our policies, so we just go, let us enjoy that approval and recognition, then the government must have achieved something, and that is political. Now, for the economic side of it, I don't think there is anything that is basically of an economic advantage with respect to that particular MOU. Maybe what we'll be talking about is the loan they said, in quote, that they said they took with respect to
the ports reforms.
Yes, and I don't really see what is to our best interest in that. You take loan, you are saying a particular percentage must go to the people of your country, you must source the materials that will be used to work on that port from a particular company, a state-owned company from the UK. You know, all manner, you are giving and taking at the same time. You have taken almost all what you give out as a loan. I don't see that as of any economic benefit. So basically, maybe we can say the fact that they have now agreed to allow Nigerians who overstayed their visas come back home with their assets, come back home with their monies will probably be a foreign direct investment. But yet again, it takes us back to what we said earlier. If you look at the statistics and you hear them say about 7.5 million pounds have been recovered from scam or fraud or criminal related activities within, I think, between 2024 till date, you will notice that the aim for them is twofold. Get these people, get what you can get from them, and push them back to their country. What economic benefit will possibly be there for Nigerians? Definitely there is none.
Exactly.
There is none. What they have just done is to create some ease of movements and all manner of things. Yes, I understand that the minister or the media aide was talking about what was this that was he even talking about? He was saying something like, yes, they've entered into that understanding and there are these clauses, but he has not really, he didn't touch on any core issues or any economic benefit for us. I would have think that we'll be talking about the ease of visa applications, the issues bordering on student visas, the ease of getting residency permits. You know, for a country that you colonize, and for a country that has been the greatest, giving you greatest patronage for your colleges, for your schools, you know, if we pull out from there and we don't even go there to school for say 1-2 years, I'm very sure that the economy of UK will feel the negative or adverse impact. But here we are, we just sat down there, we didn't take advantage of anything. These statistics were not put on the front burner, you know, because for you to do an MOU on migration, and you don't handle these things, Nigerians go to UK every now and then and contribute positively to the economy of UK, even the whole of Europe and America. And then when they want to talk, they don't tell us about the positives. They want to make us feel like we are criminals, which is what I think this particular MOU is even all about. It's all about deportation. There's nothing about repatriation.
I want us to, still talking about the MOU now on this deportation. There are concerns around saying, look, this MOU, if implemented stricto sensu, as they say, would increase criminality in Nigeria, because let's say the bulk of the people that the UK wants removed from their space are those with very established criminal backgrounds, number one. Number two, there's also the insinuation that is a conduit by government to bring the likes of Ekweremadu back to Nigeria. What are your sentiments?
I've heard that argument. But if all you are going to do, or all you seek to achieve from a whole state visit,
is thinking spending wise, pound foolish,
is for you just to bring back home one particular person to the detriment or at the instance of several other thousands of citizens that you have there, then you have not really achieved anything. What is it with Ekweremadu? He's been convicted. This particular MOU might not even apply to him. He's been convicted, he's already serving his term. Are they going to abort it midway and deport him?
Because he finishes his term?
He has to. Because this particular contract cannot benefit from it. It has to, any benefit that anybody would derive from it would have to be events and incidents that happened after the signing of that particular document. So if that was, I don't think, maybe they can discuss that outside this and probably achieve
a different agreement.
Yes, but I am aware that the past government, they've made effort. I'm aware that certain persons have gone to, have these discussions with them, and they insisted I will service
the
them.
Tinubu government had also made that effort, led by Yusuf.
So if I served our own term, why won't you service them?
I'm just curious, and I'm very sure off the top of my head, a good number of our viewers are too. If, without conceding that the Ekweremadu element is a factor in this conversation, should we not be curious as to what political value is it? Because people say this is, again, something that we need to factor into 2027.
Anyway, assuming without considering that that will be achieved, and I don't think there's a possibility of achieving that. I think it's even it would have been an unwise decision to even make it a topic of discussion. It's just like when we go to the streets here to protest that Nnamdi Kanu should be released, when in actual fact, what is passing through is a legal situation. So, at the end of the day, ultimately, if you are bringing Ike Ekweremadu, I don't know, you know the way politics operates in this country is this, and that is why you see that when you tell some people to go contest for Senate, they will not go.
Why is that?
They won't go because politics is local. Once you are not on ground, you lose your structure. It's almost automatic. It is the people they see, the people they hear on daily basis who attend to their daily needs. You could be sending money home from Abuja, and as you are doing that, the person you are sending it to is disbursing as if it's coming from him.
Okay.
You lose your structure. I've had a client who refused to come to the National Assembly at some point in time because of this. He gave out a slot. It was a slot they gave to him. It was rigged out of the primaries of his party for gubernatorials. And then they gave him like 2-3 tickets or so for National Assembly and reps, and he gave them out for that same reason. Though I'm aware he's currently in the National Assembly now, but he travels almost every weekend. So this is how the politics is. He's been away for a while. When he comes back, the whole game, now look at it now. Look at all the crises surrounding political parties, the coalitions, the alignments and realignments.
How does he fit in?
How is he going to fit in? So we have to put all of these factors into consideration before we even attach a value or weight to him. Even those that are on ground are struggling to be relevant. Say less of someone who's been away for years. But I understand that if you get him out, amongst the politicians, within that class, it's a political point. It's some sort of political goal.
Maybe from the standpoint of the Southeast?
Yes, Southeast. For them in that group, it does not really translate. Of what value was he to those that he was representing before he left? There are rumors that what even took him to the UK and landed him in this hot soup, there are rumors that there was funding for that particular facility in his area, and something happened. And then that project didn't go on. It was to pass through him. People route it through him using NGOs and others.
These are all allegations, by the way.
Yes, that's why I said
that they are
using something. Now it didn't go through. So what do you have to come and tell the people? People like Alex Oti now are the people that the Southeast are listening to. People like Peter Obi.
Maybe Governor Peter Omba of
yes, and others. I know that Opus Adima is there, but you know, this issue of the party you belong to at this particular point in time also goes a long way. Yes, it matters. So these are just the issues.
You know, let's slide away from politics and all of that. Let's come back to the MOU between Nigeria and the UK. Now, how can, in your own opinion, how can the balance be made so it won't look as if it's one-sided and one country is benefiting and the other is just there because of the gain that is in front of us? Because remember, we have the ports to look at now. You know, they're coming in to fund the ports in Lagos and looking at some of the ways in how we can curb insecurity and all of that. So in your own opinion, how can we create that balance so you look like a win-win for all and not just one?
Well, from the clauses that are in the public domain, there is no way that you can make it look like a win-win. It's just not possible. The only clause that is in the public domain that is to our own, the benefits of our citizens, is that when we are going to be deported, the assets that are not traced to criminal activities, you can go with them. That's just the only thing. Every other thing is to the advantage of the UK. Even this port program we're talking about is still to their advantage.
You know, there's
no matter what.
Sorry to interject, but
yes.
It's just unfortunate that they didn't put into consideration some individuals who have worked for so long, who have made livelihoods in the United Kingdom, and yet do you think they'll fall in that category, or let's say sort of leverage will be given onto them with the clauses that we've seen?
Basically, maybe. I want to believe that the UK already has a list of those they want to even kickstart this with.
Right.
So what our people only need to do is to be smart about their visas and the way they go in, because they raised issues with respect to, UK has raised issues with respect to forged marriage, false marriages. They've raised issues with respect to forged documents, for forged employment documents, forged bank statements. They've raised issues with respect to romance scams and all of that. So the other thing we need to do is, when we are going there, let's go the proper way. Let us not go in defiance with one or two. Let us not breach the laws of the area. Then when we are there, let us also not take to criminal activities or criminal conduct. And then if your visa is going to expire, you know when it is going to expire. In fact, I had two scenarios that I had first-hand experience about. One is with respect to a particular client of mine. She was to go to UK, and then this our guy got an admission, and they already did their marriage so that they can just go together. Now, what happened? The young man did not admit to his wife the status of his accounts. So when they were talking about how they call this their money, that the minimum you must have in your accounts before you are forgetting what they call that thing.
A proof of funds?
Proof of funds. He didn't tell the wife he doesn't have those funds. He kept on saying, oh, the funds is there. In fact, if the wife says, let's do this, you say, oh, I can't do that. So all what I have is going into... At the end of the day, what is submitted was a fake bank statement. This guy is a banker. Submitted a fake bank statement in his name from his own bank. Took the hard copy there in this their center in Abuja. That was he lost the admission. They could no longer travel. So when I heard the UK rep talking about forged bank employment, and I could relate to it. Now the other side is this. There is this former minister who is based in Sweden. Now when Buhari came on board, yes, they appointed him minister because his friend was the chief of staff to the first chief of staff to Buhari at the time. And then he became a minister. After 8 years, he was to go back. His visa was drawing to an end. And the law is you have to be on ground there and file for renewal before it expires. So whatever it is, he had a court case at the time. And what we had to do was to speed up the matter for him to be able to meet up. So it was esteemed, he led his evidence and so on, and he left. Why? Because he didn't want to fall into the category of somebody who has overstayed.
And the law over there is no respect of persons.
They don't respect people. So all we need to do is to do the right thing.
Right.
I think for us, to be very candid, we like to break laws. We like Nigerians,
Do we like to break laws?
We like it, we enjoy it.
Or we're just desperate to leave?
No, if you look at our local behavior, it's still the same.
But someone will tell you they are desperate to leave by hook or by crook because they want a better life, better structure. They'll tell you they will go through anything just to leave the shores of Nigeria.
Just drive out of your studio now. Just by the junction there's a traffic light. You just watch the way Nigerians relate to the traffic lights. They are not eager to go to the UK. Those ones who will break that traffic light, they will blare the honk for you to break the traffic because you are blocking them from breaking traffic. We enjoy these things.
That means these issues are even deeper than we realize. We hope we're able to get to the roots, because as it stands right now, for the most part, it appears we're paying more attention to the surface. I mean, treating symptoms as against dealing with cause. We'd like to say a big thank you to you, Barrister Monday Eje, for taking our time as always to join us this morning.
You're welcome. The pleasure is mine.
On the program. Well, that's what we're living it on Global Morning today. We'd like to say we appreciate you for investing your time with us as always this Monday morning. Remember that the views of our guests are their opinions. I'm Uyi Agmofwebe.
And I am Jumai Manson. Thank you all so much for being a part of the program. Have an amazing day ahead, and thank you so much, Barrister Monday Eje, for being a part of the program again.
Thank you for
having me.
me.
And we say bye-bye.